Hello everyone, welcome to Self-Knowledge. Today we are having lecture number 21 of this set of 50 lectures, and today we are going to be talking about concentration and relaxation. This is a very important topic because consciousness can only manifest in a state of concentration and relaxation, but most of the time we are tense and distracted. So we see that this is important. So the objectives that we have for today's lecture is to learn to develop a power that allows consciousness to manifest itself in our daily life to be successful in everything we undertake, but especially in our practices such as meditation, supersexuality, etc. And another objective is to understand what relaxation is and how to apply it. And today we are going to learn a very interesting practice that is called watch and pray. And this is a practice that will help us to develop our capacity to be concentrated. So just let me check if everything is okay with the broadcast. So we start with today's lecture. Yeah, I think everything is okay. So let's start first explaining what concentration is. And let's say that the word concentration is showing us that consciousness is centered in action. So it means that all my attention is focused on what I'm doing, that I'm doing everything in a conscious way, that I'm aware of everything that I do. Actually, concentration is a very great power that allows us to be successful in everything we undertake. If we do things concentrated, and we are going to learn how we do things concentrated, but because most of the time we confuse what concentration is, we are going to see what is exactly to be concentrated, how exactly we can manage to be focused, and in that state, when we manage to do things focused on that, and the consciousness is manifesting in us when doing that, we are going to be successful. Not doing things concentrated is the cause that we constantly make so many mistakes, that things do not usually turn out the way we want, that we don't have also enough time to fulfill our obligations, because most of the time we get distracted by things and we waste a lot of our time. Distraction lead us to have accidents. It is a cause of many accidents, and it is also the cause of many times practices to not give the positive results that we want. For example, the astral projection. Most of the time we cannot achieve a conscious astral projection because we cannot have the proper concentration for the practice. Also, it is difficult to be successful in a meditation if we don't know how to get concentrated, as concentration is the basic step to achieve a state of meditation. So this is very, very important. What happens? If we observe the multiple activities of our daily living, we will realize that each of them is done mechanically. We need to first start observing that, because when we do our different activities, we are somewhere else. We are not living the action, but we are thinking about something else, desiring something else, feeling something else, and we do not live the action. We do not live the present moment. We do not live the here and now. We are most of the time wandering in our mind. So all the time we are distracted. We wake up and immediately the train of thoughts and the train of emotions begins. Since we open our eyes, we begin to plan, to seek to distract ourselves with the cell phone. We brush our teeth, but we are brushing the body is like making the action, brushing the teeth. But our mind is somewhere else. We are not there. We are doing things mechanically, and we can see this presentation I made here, and that is exactly our daily living. We are doing something, but we are not there. Then that is the reason why we do not enjoy life. That is the reason why we cannot manage to be happy. Because when we are doing something or living something, we are not enjoying and living that moment, that situation. We are deciding to be in another situation doing something else. And when we manage to go there, to that other situation and to that something else, then there we want to be somewhere else doing something else, and we don't manage to be happy here and now because we love being distracted, because that is what our ego loves, being distracted. And why? Because if we are distracted, if we are out of the here and now, all our psychological eyes can enter into our machine, making us tense, and they are going to be feeding on our energy. So that is the reason why we must start to be in a state of self-observation, keeping ourselves in the here and now. Stop doing things mechanically. Stop doing things totally distracted. We don't observe ourselves from moment to moment, and that means that our consciousness is asleep due to the lack of use. So if our consciousness only manifests when we manage to be concentrated, when we manage to be here and now, and we most of the time are distracted, so we are not using our consciousness. It's our ego who is handling our machine. So our consciousness is actually asleep due to the lack of use. We are doing things asleep. That is our current state. And that is why we are unable to discover ourselves. That is why we are unable to observe and eliminate our different eyes. Because, for example, we go to the bathroom and we go there, and instead of being doing our bathroom stuff, concentrated, just observing ourselves, observing what arises in that moment, in our emotion, in our mind, and practicing the ongoing death, practicing the psychological death, we go there with the cell phone, and we are doing from our body, and we are totally distracted with the cell phone. If we are cleaning our house, we are not just cleaning our house, being there. No, we are cleaning the house, and we are listening to music, and we are singing, and we are doing stuff. If we are eating, we are not just eating, enjoying the food, enjoying the moment. No, we are eating, but we are distracted, watching television or watching Netflix on our cell phone or on the tablet or whatever. So we get distracted, and we cannot see all the different eyes, the different psychological defects that mechanically are participating in every action. For that reason, any psychological eye can enter into the machine and move it just so easily. If something that we don't like happens, we just react with anger. And we don't get to even observe when that angry self is actually entering the machine and acting. No, we are just reacting. We are not reflecting because we are totally distracted all the time. On the other hand, the ego seeks to keep us all the time distracted with endless thoughts, with music in our mind, with worries, etc. The ego is always going to try to distract us. to take us out of the here and now, so we cannot get to awaken our consciousness. So we need to understand that distraction comes from the ego, from all our different eyes, and the concentration comes from the consciousness. The natural state of consciousness is to be concentrated. But we are so used to be distracted that concentration seems boring to us. And this is because the I, the ego, hates concentration, because there is where he is gonna die. If we manage to be concentrated, self-observing our inner world, and we discover a detail of our ego that is manifesting, then because we are concentrated, because we are in self-observation, we are going to eliminate that. And the ego is not going to have the opportunity to grow, to keep feeding ourselves. That is the reason why the ego hates so much concentration, and managed to make us think that concentration is boring. But if we study that distraction, we are going to end up in concentration. If we observe every detail that is taking us out of the moment of the here and now, if we study every detail that is making us distracted, we will undoubtedly remain in constant concentration, which implies that we will rescue more and more consciousness, and that consciousness will be manifesting itself each time more often in us. So that is the first step. We must start observing what is taking us from the here and now, what is taking us out of our concentration state, so we can start to eliminate that. And every time we eliminate a psychological defect, every time we eliminate some desire, some worry, some justification that wants to make us distracted, every time we kill ourselves, we are liberating consciousness. And that way we are going to become more conscious, and every time we're going to manage to be concentrated for longer. And sometimes we believe that we are concentrated because we are very focused on something. For example, that we are focused playing a video game, or we are focused making a report on the computer. But if we really observe ourselves at that moment, we would realize that we are very distracted. And I would even say we are lost, totally immersed in what we are doing, because we are doing that, but we are at the same time feeling multiple of emotions, feeling a lot of sensations on our body, having many mechanical thoughts, imagining something, fantasizing while doing this, and therefore we are not really concentrated. To be concentrated on an action is to be alert, to be aware of ourselves, feeling that we are inside of our body and not involved in the action. But we are aware of ourselves when doing that. We are actually feeling our heart, feeling that we are alive. We are having a full state of awareness of ourselves while performing the action that we're doing, without the participation of the ego, without allowing our minds to wander into thoughts, without letting the ego to distract us with tensions or emotions of like or dislike, and above all, being concentrated while doing something is eliminating all the constant talk that is constantly occurs in our mind. So, because this is something that we must understand, being concentrated is not just doing something like there. Okay, I'm here, I'm concentrated. No, it's being aware and doing only that all my centers are focused on what I'm doing. So my mind is focused on what I'm doing. My emotion is focused on what I'm doing. My motor center is focused acting on what I'm doing. My instinct center, my sexual center, all my centers are working on harmony, doing the action with me. So if I'm doing something and my mind is somewhere else of thinking about something else, my emotion is wandering there, feeling that or that, I'm not concentrated. So in a state of full inner silence, of full presence, we can do any activity full concentrated, and we can be successful in that activity. So how to achieve concentration? Well, to achieve concentration, we must make conscious efforts to be in self-observation all the time. Because while we are distracted, we are not going to be able to observe or eliminate our ego. There are different eyes that manifest in us. So the first thing is to be in self-observation, directing our attention to our inner world, to see what wants to manifest in us. The second step is to be feeling our heart. As we become more present in the here and now, we develop the ability to constantly feel the beat of our heart. Actually, our heart is our home. That home where we return when the ego wants to take us to another mental place. So if we develop the ability to be concentrated in our heart, feeling our heart anytime that the ego wants to take us to another place, or in our psychological country, or to another time in our mind, then we eliminate that and we return here to our heart. That is like our home. So that is the second step. First, be in self-observation. Second, make an effort to feel our heart, to keep ourselves here in the present moment. The heart only beats in the here and now, here in the present moment. The third step is that we are going to make an effort to hold a single thought, to do think by think. We are going to have an objective. Okay, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to focus in that. And I'm going to hold that only thought. And I'm going to eliminate everything that wants to get me out of that state of concentration that I'm having in doing that. So I'm here self-observing myself, feeling my heart, and I'm doing that. That is the third step. And the fourth step is to keep all the centers in unison. All the centers must be focused on what I'm doing. The consciousness know everything and make everything perfect. So what is this of having all the centers working in unison? Let me check here. Let's see. In lecture number 4, we learned about the 7 centers of the human machine. We learned there that we have the sexual center and all the functions. The sexual center, whose function is to create; the instinctive center, which function is to apprehend; the emotional center, who handles the fire in us, encouragement; the intellectual center, the inferior intellectual center, and there is where we are going to find the ability to concentrate here in the inferior intellectual center, that is at the level of our heart. And the motor center, whose function is to do the superior emotional center, which is here, and there we are going to find the inspiration. And the superior intellectual center, and there is where we are going to find the father, the wisdom. And when practicing the concentration, there is where the wisdom is going to go down to our heart. So we are going to do things concentrated, and we are going to be successful. So what is to put all the centers to work in unison to do something concentrated? Well, We are going to put in our heart, which is where we are going to achieve concentration, the goal that we have, the objective, as I explained, here in our heart. And whatever we are going to do, we are going to always set that intention in our heart. We are going to set our goal. And then we are going to keep all our centers focused in unison around the heart, focusing all the functions towards the correct realization of what we are going to do. Our lower emotional center, or inferior emotional center, which is the one who manages our internal fire, our spirit, will put the courage for what we do. Because here we set our goal, and then we are going to put the emotion, the fire, the spirit, the encouragement to do that. There, our emotional center is going to enter into activity. And there, if you see here, the centers are just like link one with the other. So when we manage to put the encouragement to do something, then we start doing it. Then the motor center start entering into activity. Every time that we put encouragement for something, the motor center acts, and we do that. But if we don't have the spirit to do something, we never do it. So there we see how the centers start working towards what we are doing. As the motor center becomes active and we begin to do, our instinctive center, whose function is to apprehend, comes into activity. And at the same time, if we see the link here, our superior emotional center is going to enter also into activity, and there we're going to receive the inspiration. And with these two centers working in what we are doing, we begin to enjoy that. So because we are doing that, and at the same time, because of our instinctive center, we are apprehending, we are learning to do that in a conscious way, and because we receive the inspiration of our superior emotional center, we begin to enjoy what we are doing. And there, our sexual center, whose function is to create, will enter into activity, while success will come to us from the higher intellectual center, that is the seat of the wisdom. So you see that when we set a goal in your heart and you put encouragement and you start doing it, then everything begins to enter into activity. But for that to start happening, we need to be, eliminating all the details of the ego that wants to manifest and wants to distract us. If we put the goal in our heart, if we put encouragement, if the motor center start doing it, if we start apprehending, if we start enjoying what we are doing, but we let the mind comes with a worry, with any kind of distraction, then we are going to lose the state of concentration that we are achieving. But if we are in that state, putting our centers in unison, working on what we are doing, and we eliminate everything that comes. If something in my emotion comes, I don't know, an anxiety, and I eliminate that, I say, Divine Mother, eliminate this anxiety, and it just goes away. If something comes to my mind, I eliminate that. Divine Mother, eliminate this impatience, eliminate this, planning that is coming to my mind. We eliminate that, and we come back to the here and now. We come back to our heart. All the centers are going to be entering into activity, and we are going to be successful in that objective that we have. There are two types of concentrations, one in the inner world and another in the outer world, and both are very important. Just as it is important to develop concentration on the outside world, on the actions we perform externally, so as we don't make mistakes or we don't have accidents. So it is very important to practice concentration in everything external that we are doing. When we are all the time in every task that we are doing, we need to make them concentrated. Also, it is important to develop their inner concentration, the concentration in the inner world. So we are also successful in the esoteric practices such as meditation, such as astral unfolding, such as retrospection, negotiation of karma, suprasexuality, etc. All the practices of the consciousness requires to be in concentration, and it's the same exact steps to achieve concentration for the task that we are going to undertake in the outer world and in the inner world. So if I am going to make something for my job, I'm going to make a report, I need to follow these steps, put the objective in my heart, and eliminate everything that wants to take me out of my state of concentration, putting on all my centers in unison, working on that. The same if I'm going to meditate or if I'm going to practice astral projection or any practice. Now, some things to take into consideration to practice concentration. This is very important. The first thing is to always do one thing at a time. That is very important. If we have several tasks to do, we need to focus on one thing at a time. That is the only way to do them concentrated. And when doing that thing, we are going to be only keeping that thought. We are not going to be thinking on anything else, because there we are going to be distracted. So we are going to be focused and keeping only that thought. We are not going to interrupt what we are doing to do another thing. We are going to try our best to finish what we are doing to start doing the other thing, or to finish the part of that we must do at that time and continue with another thing. But if we are doing something and we let this and we start this and then we take this, and we are not going to be successful and we are not going to make things concentrated. So it is important to do one thing at a time without thinking of anything else, without interrupting one thing to do another, and to not think about the things to do. So we are not going to be planning what we are going to be doing when doing something, because that is going to distract us all the time. Also, we are going to, we are not going to be remembering the things that have already been done, because there we are out of the present moment, we are out of the here and now. So we are going to make an effort to be here and now doing that we are doing, and we are going to stay focused. Those are the basic steps and the things to take into consideration to achieve concentration. And something that I think is very important and that will help us to do the different activities of our daily living in a concentrated way is to make an order. And for this, it is highly recommended that every day we take a few minutes to make an activity schedule. And in that schedule, we are going to have the different activities that we are going to do during the day, and the order of or a schedule in which we are going to do them. And this will help us not have to be planning or thinking about what we'll have to do later, but we can focus on each action at each time. I think that is very useful. And we will also see that if we have an organization, the time will be enough for us to make more things, because most of the time, because we are not organized, we lose a lot of time. And it is important to prioritize in our schedule the different practices, the conscious practices, I mean like meditation, astral projection, etc., that we will do during the day to awaken our consciousness, since if we leave only, or if we leave them for when we have time left and we always give priority to things of the personality, they will always end up and compensate all the time. And with an established order for the day, if we put the things of the consciousness first, then we are going to just dedicate ourselves to doing everything in a concentrated way. Staying focused in the present moment, living the action that we are taking, and constantly eliminating everything that wants to take us out of that concentration. If we do so, we will see how this will positively affect our practices of conscious astral projection. Because if we are focused during the day, if we make our activity schedule and we finish that the whole day doing every activity concentrated, just like present, being conscious of what we are doing during the day, at night you will see that you will continue focused. The same that if you don't do this like every day, and if all the days we wander, at night we will also wander. Therefore, if daily we keep in concentration and practicing the ongoing death, we will not be dreaming in the day, but we will be present, and that will be totally reflected at night. It will be much easier for us not to fall into dreams and to stay present in the astral world or the world of dreams. Because when we are there doing our conscious astral projection practice, as we manage to be concentrated all day, we are going to manage to be concentrated at night. So we are going to be able to let the physical body fall asleep, and we are going to be able to stand from our bed with our astral body and still be concentrated and continue in the astral world, eliminating everything that wants to make us dream, that wants to make our consciousness asleep. So this concentration thing is very useful also for the astral projection. So we get to manage to be awake during the day, awake during the night, but not awake of insomnia, no, but awake of being conscious in the astral world. So this is actually very interesting to experience the consciousness that you start having in your conscious astral projection practices when you manage to be concentrated during the day. Now let's explain a little about relaxation, which is our second topic. And what is relaxation? Well, relaxation is no tension. The natural state of consciousness is relaxation. Actually, consciousness is a state of more and more relaxation each time. And for that reason, the ego always seeks to stress us, to make us tense, because only in a state of tension can the ego remain in the human machine, feeding on our energy for longer. So let's study what are the common things that produces tension in us. Well, you can see that the tension is produced in ourselves when we have desires, when we have anxiety, when we are feeling a lot of emotions, we get tense. Also, when we have hard psychological songs, that is resentments, we get tense. Also, when we are in wrong psychological states, such as depressions or melancholy or hatred, there we all can see that how tense we get. The thoughts, the continuous thoughts in our mind, or you say, "Boy," the high, start like waiting because we get very tense. Also, when we have many concerns, when we have internal talks, when we are all the time chatting in our mind, and when our different ways of being start having those fights inside of us, and we have those states of indecision, when we are saying this and that, and all that give you like these tensions always of course, when we are, for example, doing something that we don't like. We are usually very tense when we are afraid that something we didn't do that very right, that something is wrong. We get tense when we want to do something that we like best of what we are doing. When we think that what we did before didn't turn out well, and or if we did something and we find that was very good. Always, every time that we are like out of the here and now, we are tense. When we are planning, when we are remembering something, we are tense. You see that anxiety is actually lacking of presence, of not being here and now. And every time that we are distracted by something, we are also tense. That is the reason why this lecture is both concentration and relaxation, because we cannot be relaxed if we are not concentrated, if we are not here and now. But if we don't manage to be relaxed, we cannot be concentrated. So we need to achieve both relaxation and concentration. And what is the process to relax? Well, it is very actually simple. The first step is always self-observation. Why self-observation? So you identify and you become aware of what is the defect that is producing the tension in any part of your machine. So you only when we manage to self-observe, you can see where you are tense. If here in your head, or if you're feeling the tension here in the neck, or in the I don't know, in the shoulders or in your back, you are going to find the tension, but you are also going to manage to find what is the psychological defect that is making you so tense. So you need to identify where is the tension and what is producing the tension in the human machine. And the second step is the prosecution. So we are going to understand how that defect that is producing you that tension is draining your energy unnecessarily. That is something important, because we need to be conscious of ourselves. And the third step is the elimination. So once we discover the defect that is producing the tension, if it is anxiety, or if it is worry, or if it is anguish, or if it is, I don't know, happiness. Sometimes we think we are happy, but we are just overwhelmed and we are very tense. So we are going to identify what is the psychological defect that is actually making me so tense. And once we discover that defect and we judge it, then we are going to eliminate it. And this is done with a plea to our Divine Mother, asking her, Mother of mine, eliminate this I. And there we are going to release the area that is tense. And we could even, and it helps me a lot, when I ask my Divine Mother to eliminate our defect that is causing a tension, I actually imagine how a fire is directed to that area, and that the fire dissolves the tension in that area with my imagination. And there I experience how that tension is just released, and I just feel fine. We must remember that it is necessary to understand why we are tense for the mother to act. So it is important to self-observe, to discover what is the defect that is making you tense. And how do we know that we are already relaxed? Well, it happens when all tensions has disappeared and our psychology has normalized. We feel good and we can go back and focus on what we do. So if I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to concentrate into something, but I'm feeling like a lot of tensions, then I'm going to focus on that tension. I'm going to discover, okay, what is making me this tense? there, when I examine myself, I find that I'm having these thoughts of worry. Then I eliminate each one of them. I come back to the here and now, and I feel the relaxation, and I can go back to my concentration state. So there I can discover that I'm already relaxed because I'm able to go back to my concentration, that I can go back to my heart. And well, these are the steps to relax and the steps to concentrate. The last thing that I want to show you is a very interesting practice. Let me see, yeah, I have it here. That is a practice that is called watch and pray. And this practice is a very useful because it helps us to develop our capacity to be concentrated. You see that the Master Jesus taught that we should watch and pray. But what is watch? Watch is doing things consciously, on video, in self-observation, and doing things concentrated. That is watch. And pray is pleading to the Divine Mother to eliminate the defects that are not letting us to concentrate. So what is this practice about? Well, it's to manage to be concentrated in our heart for the time we set for the practice. Let's say we set 30 minutes for this practice, and we are going to be concentrated in our heart. And we are going to be eliminating everything that wants to take us out from the present moment, from the concentration on our heart, and we are going to come back to our concentration. So, to do this practice, the first thing that we recommend is to clean the environment, with the conjuration of the belly lin that we learned in lecture number 7, and to do the magic circle of protection. So we close the environment so negative energies cannot enter to that place where we are doing this practice, because this practice is almost as a meditation. That is just a practice for concentration. And the second step is always to plead for assistance to the Father and the Divine Mother, so they help us, so our consciousness help us in the practice. The third step is to relax ourselves, observing that the whole body is comfortable, eliminating any tension we feel. And then we are going to close our eyes, and we are going to concentrate on our heart. And we are going to listen and observe the inner world. That is what we are going to do. We are going to close our eyes. We are going to be concentrated in our hearts. If it is hard for you to feel the beating of your heart, you can put your hands here in your chest to feel our heart, and you are going to start listening and observing your inner world. And you are going to beg your Divine Mother to disintegrate every little detail of the ego that wants to come and take you out of the here and now. So you're going to be there concentrated in your heart. And everything that wants to distract us, in your mind, in your emotion, in your body, because sometimes you feel like that you feel like itching, but actually when you ask for that, for that itching, you experience how that disappear, because it is the ego making you uncomfortable, so you distract yourself from the practice, and you're going to be eliminating everything that comes. Divine Mother, eliminate this, and you are going to always come back to your heart. And this can be done until a perfect concentration is achieved. Actually, it is very useful to do this practice half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour every day, because this will help you to develop the ability to be concentrated. So set a time for this practice in your own activity schedule every day, and you are going to be experiencing great advances in your ability to concentrate. Well, and this has been today's lecture. This is all I have for today. I want to invite you for our next lecture, the next Sunday at the same time. And next Sunday, we are going to be talking about meditation. We are going to learn what is the reflective meditation. So Don't miss that lecture. That is going to be very interesting. If you have any question about this topic that we're having today, or about the self-knowledge course, you can please write it in the chat and I will be solving any question you have, or you can write us here in the page for any question you have. So thank you very much for watching this video. See you next Sunday and have a very great rest of the day. Ciao, ciao.